So this is the program where we pass functions as a parameter. Okay. So how does it work? So basically, this is the function. Where is it? Yeah. In this function, what we did, you see the name of the function is add distance, and there's two objects that are being passed as a parameter, distance, distance. So both of them are basically objects. Okay. Now you see here that whenever we took two objects, right? So how do we actually add the values of an object? Because we know objects are actually customized data structure, data type. Okay. So each of the object have their two variables. One is feet, another one is inches. Now, if we go back here, so if you see that if I want to add the first parameter of this two object, what I have to do, like let's assume the first object is d2, second object is d3. Now what I have to do, I have to write d2 dot inches, d3 dot inches. So this will, what it will do, it will add, you see each object has two values, feet and inches. So if you write d2 dot inches and d3 dot inches, okay, so it will automatically add those. So if we see the details of the function, so first like if I declare, normally if I declare a function in, as I have shown in the last class, integer, let's set a void add. Okay, simple function that I showed in the last class. So let's assume integer a, integer b. That means the first parameter is in a, second one is b. Same way we have declared two variable, integer distance d2, distance d3. So that means now these are our two variables. Okay. Now what we did in the next case, so if I want to add this two, okay, all I have to do is d2 dot inches plus d3 dot inches. This will add the inch of this two variable, and then so on. If I want to add the feet, okay, d2 dot feet, d3 dot feet. So it will automatically assign the values. Okay, but from this and this object, it will take this and it will assign to the new object. Now the question is why we will use this. Okay, the answer is sometimes what you have to do, you have to create an object based on other objects. In that case, we can use this one. So here, if I go from the, go to the program again, so what it does, okay, look at the two part. First part, it declares two variable, class distance, integer feet, float inches. Okay, then this part, you see this is a constructor. How can I understand this is a constructor? Because it has the same name as the class. But here we have two constructor. Okay, one is this one and another is this one. So why we have two constructor and how two function can have the same name? The answer is, in a C++ object-oriented programming, there is a feature that we call overload. Okay, so the name of the feature, okay, is called function overloading. So this is the function overloading. The basic idea is that two function can have same name, okay, or multiple function can have same name. We will see more simpler example for this case, but for now let's stick here. Okay, so the concept is function overloading. The idea is that given uh, you have multiple functions, okay, they can have the same name, okay, but the definition will be different. Now let me show you a slide. We will start with a simple example, then we'll come back here. So let me share the PDF. So we will study today function overloading. So what is function? All of us know what is a function, right? So overloading refers to the, oh, let me restart the recording. Yeah. So overloading refers to the use of same thing for different purpose. Now we were talking about the student management system. In the student management system, what can happen, that suppose there are two options. Okay, first of all, you need to insert all of your data. So if I, when I say all of your data, let's write them down. You need like one, So we have this function add student, okay, in our student management system. Okay, and where we have two options, we can create a student with these three variables, name, ID, number, or we can add this student with name, ID, number, and SSC, HSC. So we have these two options, okay, that we can use. Now the question is that both of them have the same purpose, adding the student, okay, but in first case you need to have all the information, in the second case sorry, in the second case you need to have all the information, but in the first case it might happen that all the information is not available. So for now you only create the student with this three information. So sometimes in a program, okay, we can face situations that where that for the same task we have multiple types of parameters, or here as we written that we can use the same function name to create functions that perform a variety of different tasks. So same name, but the task will be different. So in this case, we call it function overloading. Now here is an example of function overloading. Let me clear it up. So here we have started the program. The name of the program is print data. We want to print the data. Okay. So we have this public function void print. What it does, if you get an integer, it prints, okay, printing integer. If you get a float, it prints printing float. If you get a character, it prints printing character. You see the name of the function is print. Depending on what the user input is, it will either print integer, float, or character. So this type of program also actually provides with you a lot of diversity and a lot of options, and it also makes sure that your program can handle any type of input, any type of scenarios. So this is a feature that we don't have in other programming not procedural programming languages. So you see that what is the advantage, all of the functions have the same name, void print, void print, void print. But first, if your input, okay, is if you call the function with integer, it will print printing integer. If you call the function with double, it will write printing double or printing float. If you call the function with a character, it will call printing character. So even though all of the functions have the same name, depending on what type of task you are doing, it will provide you with a different set of function. Now this is just one line of code. It can be more than that. It can be 1,000 line of code, okay, depending on what type of input you provide. So your program can actually handle all type of informations. Now this is the main. So this is first we declare an object, okay, then if we call the function print with an integer, okay, or a double or a string, okay, in all the cases, okay, what we have actually our program will give us an output. And normally what happens in these cases, okay, normally what happens in procedural programming, if you create a function for integer, if you don't provide an integer, it crashes, but here it will not crash. And this not only can be this simple, it can be extended as well. So how we can extend it? So have a look at this example. Function overloading can be done in two ways, okay. One is function overloading with different argument types. So here is one, as you can see, float add, float add. What is the difference between them? First add function was called with an integer and a float. So in this two, okay, the order of the parameters are different, so there will be two different functions, okay. So order of the parameters, that means the serial of the parameters are different, and sometimes the declaration is totally different, okay. So if I go to the book for a second, here, if you see that in this case, okay, both of them are, where is it, yeah, so both of them are actually constructor. Okay, this is a constructor. Let me highlight this one. This is also a constructor. What is the difference? The first constructor is called without any parameter. Okay, so if you just normally create an object, it will assign 0 0 to the variables. But if you create an object, okay, and want to assign values, okay, so it will take those values and assign it to your object. So first of all, the parameters can be different. Okay, if I go for another simple example, it can happen like this. You want to add if you want to add two numbers, so it can be like this, integer add. Okay, so it can be like this, 5 2, simple add function. Or it, okay, let me just write void add instead of here. Or it can be like this, okay, void add, let's just say 5.5 2. Okay, it can be like this as well. It can be like this, void add 7, okay, sorry, what's happening, 7 2. Okay, wait, what happened to my keyboard? 723, this can be another void function, and there can be lot. You see here I use 3 parameters, so integer. So if I write here in short, okay, in first one integer and integer, second one float and integer, so the parameters type are different, then integer, and there can be all different types of variation. Okay, so you will guess what type of input the user might give, and depending on the input you will actually provide different types of functions. So it can be like this as well, 5.5 into 3 into 4 into 3. So basically integer. So this is all about function overloading basics. So here it was only 2 options. Depending on what you are trying to do in your program, there can be multiple options as well. So there are 2 ways, okay, at overloading the different argument types. So first of all, we can use different various data type. Okay, the function declaration definition of calling those functions are done with same function name but different type of arguments. So 2 integer, 3 integer, 4 integer. Okay, and another example can be that we can only use, okay, we will use the same arguments but in different order. So if you see here, we have integer, a float, a integer. So one integer, one float, but the order is different. First we calling the integer, then float. Here we first passing the float, then the integer. So now let's go to another example. So here, the one that I was talking about. So this is also add function. This is the add function, but the number of parameters are different. Okay, the parameters are changed. So to summarize, we have 2 ways to overload a function. First of all, the first way to overload a function is order and type of parameter. Okay. Second way to overload the function is number of parameter. So we can just change the number of parameter and it will become a new function. We can also change the order. So here it is, it only can be for not only for different data types but also for different number of arguments as well. Okay, so arguments will change as well. Okay, let me clear this up. So let us read the problem statement, that why we actually need this constructor. Okay, sorry, function overloading. So let us read the statement. So suppose a company has 3 types of salary structure for 3 types of employee. One employee is permanent employee, one employee is provision employee, another employee is temporary employee. So there's 3 types of employee. Okay, all of them have the different types of salary structure. Now we will have a class. Obviously the class will name will be employee. So in the C++, okay, a program with the following properties: an employee class, you will have private variables, ID, name, age, basic, and total salary. Okay, and you will have the following function: void set, double salary. Okay, double salary, double salary. So you see we have 3 functions for the salary, and if you look closely, all of this three function, okay, double salary only takes the salary as input. Double salary, this double doesn't mean your salary is double, this is data type. Okay, salary will be returned in decimal numbers. Double is takes the amount, it takes the commission. And another salary function, it takes the double rate, double hours, and integer days. The first one is basically for a permanent employee. Okay, then second one is basically for a provision employee. Okay, and third one works for temporary, so he gets paid depending on how many hours he work. So same salary function, but for the three different employees you have three different functions. Now here you will also be given the how each function will work, like void set function, it will actually take the id, name, and age. Sa Normal salary for a permanent person, what it will do, it will take the double value. Okay, it will add the basic. Okay, it will take basic plus 40% of the basic plus 10% for 5%. Those of you don't know how salary structure work, let me give you an idea. Let's assume that your salary, basic salary, okay, I'm writing here basic salary is, let's assume you 30,000 taka. So that means you will be paid 30,000 taka plus, okay, 30,000 into 40%. So what is the 40% of 30,000? 12,000. As a house rent, you will be provided 3,000 as medical, 5%. That is 1,500 for transport. So your total salary will be, okay, 30,000 plus 12,000 plus 3,000 plus 1,500. So basically it will be 45,500. Sorry, 46,500. So this is called the basic salary. Whenever the company actually gives you a job, he gives you a basic salary, and depending on the basic salary you get this other amounts of money. Anyway, let's go back here. So now what we will do, we'll actually do this, we will create a small menu, okay, where we will set information of an employee, we will set the salary of an employee, okay, and we can exit as well. So this will be our first mini project. Now before going to the project, do you guys have any question regarding the problem statement? That is there any part you don't understand? So first we have to create a class that will have these private variables, and we have to create the functions, member functions for this classes. So I think we can do that, right? So the uh, let us go to the compiler and start our task.